This is a video review for Transformers Voyager class assortment 2 Bulkhead. Sorry, kind of spaced out there for a minute. But no, it's Bulkhead. It's from the second wave of Voyagers in the Transformers Prime line from the Robots in Disguise. I found him, literally, I wasn't expecting to. I just happened to run across him in Target on the way into work. And as such, I don't have the first edition here with me to compare. But really, I mean, like, we're talking about something that there really is no comparison here. There's some neat things going on in this, but really, I'll tell you right up front. If you want to see how it works, great. But right up front, if you can get one or the other, get the first edition. The first edition is much better. This is not a bad figure. It's just not as good as the first edition. And you can kind of see why right off the bat. Boom, right up here. Now, this little battering ram can come off. It's just a separate piece. This, by itself, as an accessory, I don't mind so much. It looks okay by itself on the car. It looks kind of cool attached to his arm. There's like an extra little battering ram. Don't really have a problem with it. This, now how this works is kind of neat. You push this down here, and the mace swings forward and spins. So it's kind of like, and it lights up, kind of. So it's kind of, I didn't realize it was directing the light so well down onto his hood, but so it's kind of like Ratchet's mech tech weapon from the movie, and as such, it's kind of fun to spin the mace. But this weapon by itself, it's bigger and clunkier, and it's got this design on here that kind of makes it look like it's supposed to be part. It comes out of him like part of his rear headlights with the dual circles and the red and. When in robot mode, it kind of fits, to say, oh, like, well, now you have an idea of where this part came from. But it's kind of extraneous and looks like they try to chunk on some car parts to make it look more like it was supposed to be there, and it really kind of doesn't. So, like I said, functionality-wise, it's fun. I like making the mace spin. I won't lie. It's kind of silly fun. Aesthetically, it's really kind of junk. It really just does not please me very much. So you just set that off to the side for now. We'll put it on as, and also like it'd be a little bit more fun for me if it actually. I guess that kind of works by itself. If there a way of like just kind of holding it and fiddling with it, but you can see it just kind of. If it was something I could hold in one hand and kind of absent-mindedly fiddle with, and I guess I can kind of do it that way too. Hey, I don't know. I'm not sure why that's. Maybe it's just while it's I see. While it's spinning, it can't really get up here on the gear, and then as soon as it stops, it kind of. Let's say, why is that staying open? Because they don't really lock open, but it is as soon as it stops spinning. It kind of comes up and whatever. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, we spent way more time on that than it really deserves. But you can see the battering ram doesn't look too bad, just attached to the top of the car. But again, we'll just throw it to the side. Now, here he is in vehicle mode. He actually is, surprisingly enough, even a little bit, once you take all this stuff off, even a little bit smaller than the first edition. And if you remember my first edition review, even in vehicle mode, the first edition was much smaller than even the Voyager Bulkhead from Animated, and turned into a much bigger robot. That's not really the case here. He gets bigger, but he's still in robot mode smaller than even the first edition. But, so here he is. And you start off by lifting up these side panels here. And these... Okay, we kind of mushed some stuff out of place there to get that done. Whatever. That's going to come off anyway. Lift these up. Now, these are just friction held back here on friction hinges. So, if you don't unhook this little front piece first, you can see there's a little tab here. These like to pop right out of place there. They're not held in very strongly. Which is okay, if you want to, you can pop them off and switch them so the wheels don't stick up. So you've got some options if you choose to, but just be aware they're not pinned in or anything. They just pop right off. But you lift those up. I'll bring the arms back and down. The arms here are very much like the on the Cyberverse, but bring those down like that. And then up here, you want to come here, pull the legs down, and then you actually have to swing this hinge forward, and then bring the legs down. And you'll kind of see here, this kind of does, you see where the feet are and how they collapse up. the same pieces pretty much form the exact same car mode parts as on the first edition, but much less elegantly. Like the first edition really had it down, whereas this turns a collapsing sliding mechanism into a hinge, and it kind of suffers a little bit for that. But yeah, so you flip and then flip this piece forward and flip the whole bumper forward, and that's going to form his kind of chest and waist. The legs you want to rotate around, and then the feet flip forward, and then you grab them up here, and the toes flip down, and you'll hear it click. It'll definitely lock when you get all the way down. It'll lock into place. So it's fairly solid lower body, and then again, this piece is under here. You just flip this up. This doesn't really lock into place anywhere. It just kind of sits there. But oh well. Coming up to the upper body here. Again, he's not standing because right now he's very back heavy. You take these the doors and you kind of open them up, and you kind of bring them forward and down. So you can see, like, you open them up, bring them forward, and then they also kind of come down here and wrap them around. They're on a rotating hinge. You can actually you bring them down a little bit, but not that far down. Bring them around. Like officially, they snap all the way around like this. You can play with them to get a little bit of a better look, and I'll show you some of that in a minute. And then these panels you kind of bring down, out, and up here. Just kind of rotate, and then rotate them up like that. These are going to be his shoulder panels. They are separate from the arms itself. I've heard that as a complaint. I've heard people complain about that. Personally, I like it, having it as a separate piece that can move with the arm, as opposed to a piece on the arm that would limit some posability. It gives you a little bit more posability in the shoulders. When all things are said and done. But you bring the arms out like this, and again, you open up this panel here, and this kind of sits over the shoulder like that. The arms, you can see you can see the inner hinge. You want to rotate that so that's in the back, and now his arms can rotate forward, and then the forearm you rotate out. So you can have his arms bend either way you want, and this can rotate all the way around if you want him to have arms that go like this. So you've got a lot of good posing options there in the arms, which is kind of nice. And the same over here. Just rotate this back, rotate this around, flip out the hand. Now at this point, all you really do is take this. There's a little tab here that's going to peg right in here. Lock that forward. Go ahead and push this all the way down. Well, actually, before you do that, right here there's a tab. You flip his head forward, and then you can push this down to support it. Now his head you can lift up. His jaw actually is on its own hinge, so you can hide his whole face with his mouth. It's like he's eating his face, but you want to push that down a little bit just to even out his head. And there he is. That right there pretty much is robot mode. You've got some posing options. Like I said, officially the doors are supposed to sit on his chest like this, which I think gives him a little bit more of a squarish look. You can kind of, if you want to make him look a little bit more roundish, you can bring the doors down like this. And like I said, they rotate, they come down. You can get some rounder body poses if you so desire by fiddling with those doors. They're not locked in this position like a lot of pictures previously made it look like they just flipped out like this. They actually have quite a bit of range of movement in them. And you can adjust them to your liking. Some people I know have taken these, popped them off, and swapped them around like this to have his wheels there on the back without these pieces sticking up. And it's okay. Personally, I think that the kibble or the wings look better from the side, attached like this, as opposed to flipped upside down. Because if you flip them upside down, then you've got like these weird pieces, or especially if you swap them, like sticking straight down off his back like that. But it is entirely up to you. If you choose to do that, you can, but it's obviously not required or intended, really. And again, the weapons, you can plug the mace onto either one of his arms, or the battering ram, and that I like that. I like that. I think it's kind of cool. I'm looking forward to getting his Japanese version for the little wrecking ball Micron. And then again, this can attach to either arm and function like so. And as I mentioned, like in this mode, it's not so jarring to have some of these like I said, what looks like his rear view light. Like he's got a weapon on his arm, and with that part of the car kind of folded up, it kind of makes it look sense like this giant weapon could have come out of some part of his car mode. In car mode, it just looks like somebody stuck another giant chunk of a car on top of that car. So it's like I said, functionally, it's fun. To make it spin like that, but aesthetically, I just don't care for it that much. You can see how it kind of lights his arm up a little bit in there as it comes down. It does the same rotating LED gimmick as all the others. So, final verdict: not as good as the first edition, which I think everybody knew already. It's not a horrible toy. There's some stuff that I do like about it. I like the fact that you get a little bit more range of movement in the doors here. I like the fact that, like, one, he's got the actual black upper shoulder pieces, and, like, because they're on separate pieces, you get a little bit more range of movement in the shoulders, and you can adjust these to fit with them. It can be a little annoying if you're like, I'm going to do this, and then all of a sudden his shoulder pad's way up here. But it doesn't move with it, but I think it gives you a little bit more freedom of movement in the shoulders itself. The battering ram, I think, is a nice little secondary weapon for him. And like I said, I'm curious to see how the Micron integrates into his hand. The back wings are a little much, but not horrible. Like they're less off-putting in hand than pictures I've seen. So there's that. He doesn't look and again, if you bring these doors back a little bit, he doesn't really look all that bad from the side, like a lot of pictures showed him. So. I think there are plenty of good points to the toy. I think he's worth the $20 you're going to spend on him. If you can't get the first edition, can't afford it, can't find it, or both, he is not a bad. He fits in with the rest of the line, and he's not a bad version of Bulkhead. Obviously, if you have the choice between the two, get the first edition. That I can't. I mean, that really is what it boils down to on that. But don't feel bad if like you can't find or can't afford the other one, because this guy's just a solid, and I think especially if you just pretend that this part doesn't exist, a very solid toy. So there it is, Transformers Voyager Bulkhead.